Hey, hello, it's Nicole. I'm back with Positive Impact for Mind and Body. And I am your psychic trainer. Happy to be back. I had a little bit of a blip on Tuesday, had too many people to catch up with on Tuesday that I couldn't catch up with on Monday because of the holiday. So I'm back again, and more fun information for mind and body, but also stuff that can help you really, like I don't do this because like I'm so happy to be in front of the camera. It's to give you information, give you advice and guidance as far as I've known in my time here on earth, that whatever I can share with you, hopefully you can gain some value from it and then go on to be successful. And that's the whole point. So I had last week, I had explored the thought of how you are distracting yourself from being your greatest and best self, whatever you want for your life and your mind and your body. How are you distracting yourself from that? And I kind of mentioned in the last podcast how we are, in a mass hypnotized state usually because of social media, because of the computer access, because we can literally just spend hours and hours and hours of our time doing things that will get us zero results in our daily lives, our goals, etc. And Metatron, Archangel Metatron, has kind of like illuminated that for me in a number of ways. I have always had a goal, ever since I was in my teens, and I recognized that there were things that I was attaining in my teens because I set a goal that encouraged me to make more goals and more goals. But that being said, you may set a goal for yourself and attain that, realize it's not the right thing, and then go after a different goal. That's exactly what I did. I mean, I set a goal in high school to be the intern for, they had an internship position open at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I interviewed along with like 500 other kids from across New York State, and I got it. And I was an intern in my senior year of high school, commuting in and out of Manhattan to do the internship at the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Costume Institute, which was really exciting to me. But anyway, it was a lovely experience. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't the thing I really wanted to do. So I ended up going into designing lingerie for a little while. That didn't work out so well either. And then I ended up in television, which I really loved, but it wasn't my heart's desire. It wasn't my soul yearning. So I think that's a part of the puzzle. And I'm going to review some very definitive steps that you can take today in order that you can attain those financial goals that you've always wanted to attain. Now, I will say that, I always have a mind-body spin on everything I do, right? It's just inevitable. I'm going to be talking about the mind-body connection no matter what. So keep that in mind as I speak. But, what I have witnessed, what I've observed over the years is how people view money. They either have a love-hate relationship, or they're totally in love with it, and they're okay with the money coming to them and the money leaving from them and coming back to them. And then there's a lot of people who have a lot of fear, and sometimes I find that fear is in the form of procrastination. They pay their bills late. They don't bill people on time if they're self-employed, or they may have issues with being wealthy and they don't even realize it. Growing up, did you hear things like, money is the root of all evil, or if you have a lot of money, it doesn't necessarily mean you're happy. All these kind of strange things that your parents put in your head because they don't have a lot of money, or maybe didn't have a lot of money. But that shouldn't prevent you from now making the successful strides that you need to make in your life, that you can achieve those financial successes and goals that you've always wanted. Now, years and years and years ago, I bought a book that wasn't that popular back then. Honestly, I just kind of I was helping a friend out who owned a crystal shop. I've had so many jobs. Anyway, I was helping a friend out that had a crystal shop. And she had this book sitting on the shelf. And I honestly, the first copy that I purchased of it was a paperback book. And this was in the 80s, early 90s, let's say. That's how long ago this was. And I bought it and I read it and I thought, geez, this guy's brilliant. But the language was strange. It's this sounds a little old fashioned or something. Sure enough, it was written in 1937. And since then, I've purchased 2 or 3 other copies just over the years, thinking oh, I lost that other copy. Now I'm starting to find them all. But anyway, it's a fabulous book. It's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Every millionaire that you've ever heard of talks about this book. And if you haven't heard of it yet, maybe this is your wake-up call. This is your time. This is your time to learn these steps. But, Tony Robbins talked about it, Grant Cardone, Lewis Howes, Robert Kiyosaki, Bob Proctor, all these major millionaires have been very successful in their given and chosen businesses, talk about this book and recommend this book. And I love it because it doesn't just talk about, your portfolio and what to invest in and how to make money from real estate or, bonds or whatever it is. It talks about energy and it talks about brain functioning and it talks about all those things that I love. So I go back to it over and over and over again. And I'm in a unique position right now where I'm going to, for the next 2 years, be going to a graduation one after the other. So I had one son just graduate this year. I have another son that's going to graduate next year from college. And then I have right after that, the year after that, 2023, I have another son graduating from high school. And my plan is to get this book, this Think and Grow Rich book, for each one of them. But I also wanted to get the book, Skip the Line, which I forget the guy's, the author's name, which is really terrible for me to mention that without the author's name. But anyway, I want to get those 2 books for each one of them for their graduation. And it just brought into very sharp focus all of the principles that I have always believed in when trying to create wealth in your life into sharp focus again. And I thought I'd share them with you in this fun little video format that you can maybe write these down on your own. But if you want, go get the Think and Grow Rich book. It's in the 2nd chapter. But it's a fabulous way to kind of hone in on your goals right now and get started right now. Something you could do today. So you're not procrastinating. You're not sidestepping your goals at all. You're going to manifest this and do it quickly. The first thing, the only caveat is, when I read this book the first time in the 90s, I did not know as much then. That was, going back, 20, 30 years ago. I did not know as much then as I do now about the subconscious mind. And what I wanted to point out to you is that if you can tackle the subconscious mind and the issues that you have around money before you do these 6 steps, you will be far greater at attaining your goal, far more ahead of the game at attaining your goal, more successful, faster than if you don't do these steps first. Okay, so the 6 steps for actually attaining your financial goals coming up in a second. The first thing I want you to do is do your own body scan. Look at the 3 areas of concern when we're talking about money. You want to take a look at the 3rd eye. You want to take a look at the heart and the solar plexus. Those 2 kind of work together sometimes, but the solar plexus even more than the heart. And then you want to look at the root chakra. And why do I say that? Because anytime you have a desire, And don't forget, desire, right, comes from the term désiré, of God, desiré, of God, of the highest source. So when you have that desire, it is not, something arising from your ego. It's not something that, you kind of like dreamed up one day. It is actually something God planted in you that you would succeed, that you would attain and learn that and evolve through that energetic, right? So why do we want to know if we're blocking in the third eye? If you did a quiet visualization, okay, just breathing deeply, listening to great music for meditations, and start thinking about what this third eye looks like. I very often use the metaphor of a window. Is your window open? Is it closed? Does it have curtains? Does it have shutters? What is going on in the third eye? Just to give your mind, I call it like an open playground, right? To create the vision that you're holding in, or the energetic that's being represented by the vision that you're holding in the third eye. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, and the whole time you're doing this, your intention is to find out more about your relationship to money. So if you stop and you think about, okay, I'm going to drop this, let's say, money goal, whatever it is. I want to make $10,000 a month. I want to make $1 million a year, whatever it is. Drop that goal into the third eye and see if you can see out your window. Can you visualize that? If you can't, that's the first thing you got to clear up. How are you going to visualize that for yourself? Why can't you see it for yourself? Were you told you should never try to visualize your goals? Or maybe visualizing your goals brings up different fears, and then we should address that. Usually, if it's, a blockage in the third eye, it does have to do with a fear of attaining your goal, being responsible for more, maybe. Or maybe it's a fear that you won't be loved by the people who love you right now because you'll have more than they do. Or it might be a fear of having that much and then having people crawl out of the woodwork asking you for money, right? So there may be some sort of a fear blockage in the third eye if you are not currently making the money you want to make. The second thing you want to look at is in the solar plexus. So when we get an idea of what we want, that desire, it has to be filtered through the third eye. We have to be able to see it. And then it has to filter through the heart chakra and the solar plexus. We have to be able to enjoy that thought of creating that money. If there's no joy in it, if there's no purpose in it, if there's something that you don't like about the way that you're going to make that money, it's probably never going to filter down and become a manifested reality. So it has to filter through the heart. Does it feel good? Then it has to not manifest. It has to be filtered through the solar plexus. So you not only have to feel good about what you're doing, that you enjoy it, that you love it, but you also have to have a level of self-confidence and intelligence about it. So the third eye is going to work with the solar plexus on that intelligence. They work together sometimes. After those two things, those two areas have been filtered through in that goal, then you want to look at the root chakra. Now we're getting tricky. The root chakra is the final stage before manifestation. If there's any blockage in the root chakra, so I very often will say to people, what do you see in your root chakra? Does it look like a root, or does it look like a block of cement? Or does it look like maybe a tree stump, like the branches have been cut off unnecessarily? Maybe you prevented your own opportunity because of the fear in the third eye. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at the root chakra, there generally is in the root chakra, you're going to find other fears. If you're incapable of visualizing your financial goal, then none of the other power centers of the body are going to be able to create the vibration you need the excitement, the enjoyment, the energy you need around it in order for it to manifest, right? I mean, that just makes sense, doesn't it? So you want to check in with those centers first. You want to identify what blocks you have. Are you afraid of money? Does money depress you? And why? Maybe you had an association with someone who had a lot of money, who hated on you or started bad-mouthing you, and then you associated that money with only that type of personality. I've heard that before. And haven't you? Like, oh, those people, they're so obnoxious and rude and they hate me. And, you may have a negative association, in other words, that's kind of depressing with money. Just think about how you feel about money in general, and people that have money, and that people that don't have money, and see, how you feel about the people who don't have money. Do you love them more than the people who do, and why? Just start asking yourself those questions. And then when you drill down and you figure out if this is the case, I'm afraid of money, then really pull those fears up and take a look at them. And this is where I would perform a subconscious conversation with clients. It's talking to them about their essence, their energetic about money. And I would do a subconscious conversation with them, and I'd help them treat the subconscious fear, depression, or anger about money, and then allow it to become the smallest part of their subconscious personality and their behavior and their emotionality about money. Then I'd try to blow up really big, a very happy and positive outlook about money, and make that the focal point, not so much the other things. Just personally, on a personal level, I found that I was blocking some of my own success and my own progress in my own business because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to be there for my kids. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, no, I'll be able to make this work. I can figure this out. But that was a block I had. And I eventually got over it, and to this day, I feel very blessed and fortunate to have a handful of very dedicated, loyal, regular customers, clients. But then I also have these drop-ins. I want a reading. I want a Reiki healing. I want to have a subconscious conversation. So I kind of let it just flow when I need it to. But that's just like a personal example. You may have your own set of circumstances that are preventing you from getting to the heart of the subconscious blocks that you have towards money. That being said, those subconscious blocks can often manifest in different ways. Like I said, like you're not paying your bills on time, or you procrastinate to start a project that could make you money, or you're just, sometimes frozen, sometimes indecision. That in and of itself is the thing that stops you, right? So just be mindful, be aware of who you are and how you relate to money and why, okay? And then start having those subconscious conversations with yourself. More on that, if you're ever interested in learning how to develop your own psychic ability, your own power states of awareness, feel free to contact me. I'm at Mind Body Mastery. You could check out some of the information on Be a Body Psychic on the Be a Body Psychic page on Mind Body Mastery. But in the meantime, you have a little bit of a guideline. You have a little bit of an outline on how to handle those subconscious blocks towards your financial goals, okay? Now, this is part 2. Part 2 is the 6 steps that you can find in this great book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And they're pretty simple, they're pretty basic, and maybe you've heard them already, but don't we all need a little reminder? Don't we need a little refresher course on success every once in a while, right? Okay, so the first one is to fix in your mind the exact amount of money you want. And this is where I think a lot of people, they stumble on, because they don't think they can actually make the number that they really, really want. But you have to start somewhere. If you're saying, I only want to make, 50,000 more than I did last year, then you're only probably going to hit 20,000. Why not say, I want 2 million a year And if you hit 100 grand more, wouldn't that be like fantastic? So go big, go big. Choose the number, but be specific. All these steps, you have to be very, very specific. And I just find it ironic that, so the Think and Grow Rich book was written in 1937. So many of the principles from there were actually in my behavior specialist certification in what year was that? That was 2017. So it's like I could have just picked up this book, and then like that would have been my study guide for the behavior specialist certification, and I would have passed. But anyway, just be mindful that none of this is, I want to say, random. Notice how the success in finances and financial success and money are the same principles that you apply to any goal. Weight loss, fitness, endurance, relationships. It all applies. And so listen, step one, fix the number in your head. What do you want? Okay. I chose an annual number because to me, I need this to be for the long term, but it's up to you. You know, you may say, I need, 20 grand. I want to make $20,000 in the next 30 days. Choose it. Then you want to identify the exchange, right? How am I going to get this? What service am I going to provide? What am I going to sell? Make that choice and choose one thing. Stick with it. Just stick with it. Another 500,000 in the next 6 months. You can choose that timeline, but just be, again, specific and deliberate. Your intention is. Then the fourth one is to create a game plan. How am I going to do this? How am I going to create this income? Now, I will say that there are, if you're self-employed, and even if you're not self-employed, maybe you're doing a regular job for some corporation and you love this thing to do on the side. I know a woman who used to make necklaces out of crochet, needling, and things like, and beads and whatnot. I knew someone else who used to wrap crystals for side money. What you have to do is decide, like, in order for me to make this much, break it down. So if I want 100,000 in the next 6 months, break that down. In 3 months, I have to make this many necklaces. I have to work this much. And I'm going to have to do A, B, C, or D to get to that amount by the end of the 3 or 6 month period. That sounds like common sense, but I'll tell you, when you put pen to paper and you actually write down what you have to do, it puts into sharp focus where you're not working. You know what I'm saying? It really clarifies what you're not doing. And then you have to come to terms with that. You're going to have to say, okay, I have not done this. I screwed up on that. I am responsible for this, and I can make it better. Then the next step is, the fifth step is, you write down steps 1 through 4. What you want to make, when you want to make it, how you're going to make it, and then write it all down, right? And what you want to give to get that money. Write it all down. The 6th step is exactly what Joe Dispenza talks about. You have to program your own mind, right? So you're going to write it all down and read it to yourself every morning when you wake up and every evening before you go to bed. Who was it? I forget who it was, but a very famous neuroscientist was saying, if you really want to accomplish a goal, the idea is that you visualize that, you feel it, you sense it, you believe it, you own it in your mind, your heart, and your soul before bed, because that's prime programming time that you give yourself each and every evening that will help set the energetic for your success. And that is probably one of the strongest ways to start setting your mind and body up for that financial piece of success that you've always looked for, right? So those are like, I don't know, I find those principles, though, to be true for anything, like I said. So where's the value in that? There's huge value in that, right? Because now you have a game plan. You went from, I don't know how to make this money, I just know I want to hit the lottery. Well, what are the chances of that happening? Like 1 in 100,000 million, or whatever the number is that they have floating around there. Or you can start taking these steps now, step by step by step, and start creating your reality, your financial reality now. In any case, in the book, they say immediately after the 6th step, where you're programming your mind before bed, you're programming your mind as you wake up, immediately when you recognize that, you're taking the first steps right now. What can I do this second to make this plan a part of my daily reality? So those are the 6 steps. I gave you the 3 steps before the 6 steps, so technically there are like 9 steps. But I added the first 3 because I think you're going to be more successful and have more energy behind your goals to motivate you and keep you on point if you clarify, get rid of those subconscious beliefs about lack and loss and money, and start attaching more of a positive belief system to it. Usually people start to see results from this plan in about 30 days. And when I say results, I don't mean like you get all the money all at once. What you will get is you will start to get clearer and clearer. Okay, I'm making a little bit more. I'm making a little bit more. I'm making a lot more. Oh, and here, look at this is another opportunity for me to add to my stream of income. That's going to help me make more. So it's a step-by-step process that you have to allow time to integrate. And like I said, having these honest conversations with yourself first, implementing the 6 steps, and then getting into the habit of changing your daily habits. Yes, you will have to change, will come more and more naturally. I had one woman say, she's like, I don't want to change anything. I like everything the way it is, except I just want more money. And I said, then you're not going to make more money doing the same thing you've always done. I mean, these aren't things that you've heard once or twice. You hear them over and over and over again from the most successful people on earth. And if it worked for them, it can work for you too, right? So that's about it. I just wanted to share that with you. I've always loved this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I've always enjoyed reading Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins' success books. And I really, really enjoyed hearing Bob Proctor as well. He's a fascinating guy, So listen to those people too. Sometimes what I'll do is I will just put on one of their talks while I'm on my elliptical in the morning, and I'll go for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and just listen to them. And that helps me reaffirm my own financial strategies and success. So that being said, enjoy and love your mind and body. And I hope, and I have good news. I sponsored a psychic here locally in Ridgefield, Connecticut about 2 years ago now. Anyway, he's become a good buddy. His name is Bernard Ilsley. He's a very famous psychic from England. And he will be on my podcast here June 15th. Yay! I can't wait. I hope to ask him a lot of great questions about being psychic and having the ability to maybe answer a few questions. So if you don't want to get a psychic reading from me, maybe we can ask Bernard a couple of questions and get his insights and information about everything. I have a list of questions myself, but I'm so excited to have him on, another psychic. So I look forward to that. Go love and enjoy your mind and body, and I will see you next week with more fascinating mind-body info. Woo!